the Conquering Mountain Scrapper with Brenda. I'm Brenda, and we're here today with our very first episode of Mini Monday Round 2. Yes, Mini Monday Round 2. Now this is a rails and X block unit that we're going to sew up here together. But now you're sitting there, a rails block? Really, Brenda? A rails block? Yes, because this is these both are really good blocks to work with to check your 1/4 inch seam. They are perfect. They are the perfect blocks, and we're going to have a little bit of fun while we're doing it. So, but before we get into sewing this rails and X block, let's first do our shout out. Heather at the Debt Free Quilter is on our radar, as well as Melanie Traylor at Southern Charm Quilts, and both of these people are just having such a wonderful time on their YouTube channel, and they're doing all sorts of fun stuff, and they're having a ball. They're having a blast, and it's all good. It's all fine time to come do, come and join them, right? So yeah, so when you go over there and check them out, because their YouTube channel links are going to be in our show notes below, as well as the cutting instructions for this block, you're going to have, then you can go check them out and tell them that Brenda from Conquering Mountain Scrapmore sent you. I'd be, a delight. It's always nice to give somebody a surprise shout out, it's just, but anyways, now the other thing you're going to find in our show notes below is going to be our Zoom sew dates. Now our Zoom sew dates are the first Saturday of every month from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, because I'm in Alberta, Canada, and this is what time I get up. This is kind of like the earliest I get up is 9 a.m. So if you don't feel like sewing that day, or you want to do cross stitch or whatever, bring it. Bring it. We're inclusive. We're an inclusive group, and it's all fun to hang out, sit and hang out and do stuff. Also, share, like, subscribe, hit the bell, thumbs up, make comments. All helps drive our analytics. And we would love to hear from you. So we would love to be able to continue bringing you fun, free patterns every week. And this is just, we come up with all sorts of fun ideas, and we're hoping that you're enjoying them too. And some of them, I hope you're sewing along with them. But if you, please do any of those things, right? Especially subscribe. A lot of you that are watching aren't subscribed, and we would hope that you would subscribe. Also, we have a Facebook group, as listed in our show notes or the description box below. We do fabric exchanges by country to reduce postal costs. We have lots of fun community chats. Oh my goodness. And any kind of sew along too, we always set up a community chat. Virtual sewing room is hosted by Discord, and the people that are in there sewing are becoming friends, and they're just having a great time. Now, one thing that the admins did ask me to tell you folks, when you come into the Facebook group, if you're part of the Facebook community and want to join the group, please answer the questions, and please agree to the rules. They're bouncing people that aren't answering questions, and they're not agreeing to the rules. They just bounce them out. So, I mean, this is something that they need to do in order to keep that group about quilting and fun, right? I mean, it's kind of what we have to do nowadays. Also, I speak for free. Now, going to have 2 speaking presentations at the end of December of 2025. So if your group's already heard from me and would like to rebook me to hear the second one, please let me know. And if you've not heard from me, I do talk, my first one is about elements of design, making charity quilts, and working with scraps. So if any of those notes hit what your group is looking for, please give me a call out. I'll be happy to try and accommodate you with a speaking engagement. Also, shout outs. If you guys see a quilting channel that's working hard and having fun and, just ticking all the boxes for delightful entertainment, please send me their name, and I will put it on or add it onto our shout out list. We're doing 2 at a time because the list got so long. I wanted to get through it by Christmas time. Because remember too, I'm also looking as well for people that I haven't seen before. So anyways, you can email me for either speaking engagement or a shout out through the About tab has my email address, or you can message me through the Facebook group. I'm faster at Facebook than I am at email because life here is crazy sometimes. Also, Twinkle Twinkle is happening after Quilt Bingo, and your only cute clue is strings. Save your strings, or get strings from other people. And if you really are anti-string and don't want to sew another string block as long as you live, you can cut the pieces out of your fabric scraps. It works. It'll be fine. And it's going to be a fun little sew along. You pull it all your crazy. You can pull out all your crazy fabric too, because the pieces are larger, right? So it's going to be fun. Mini Monday is coming back with some changes, and we're doing all blocks that are smaller than 12.5 inches unfinished. So like this one, when we finish these, they're going to be 5.5 or 10.5 when we sew all 4 of them together, right? So it's kind of like, those are fun little blocks to work with, and you know, we just have a couple of different little ideas here. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all there is. So come on in. Let's get to sewing our rails and X block. Okay, we're at this sewing machine. Now, the first thing we're going to do is the rails block. And then I'm going to talk to you about how we manage this kind of thing, right? So we want the rails to lay out like this. Just like that. We're just going to have gray pieces in between. Now, a real simple little design. And we're going to talk to you about your 1/4 inch. Now your 1/4 inch, now these have been cut 1.5 by 5.5. So that means you need 5 strips to go through this sewing machine, right? Okay. Okay, we might as well do both blocks at the same time, because otherwise you're going to be wondering, what is she doing? So yeah, and we measured, and we were very careful with our cutting. And when you're doing smaller pieces, either by small piecing like this, or even like, you know, in EPP or anything like that, cutting becomes one of the issues that can cause problems, right? So today we're going to talk about the ironing and the sewing, and hopefully this won't cause an issue. Okay, and now here, I'm just going to get this and this together. Oops, get them together. There. Now, these are all good quality cotton fabrics. However, they are not all of the same thread count. And I think that's sometimes how people get all messed up. They're not the same thread count. So what does that mean exactly? Well, that means some thread counts are much higher than others. Especially when you're dealing with you know, cheaper fabrics, or, you know, anything like that, right? You're going to have really good quality cottons, and you're going to have cottons that aren't so great. And, you know, you got to buy what you can afford, right? So let's just make the assumption, or in my case, I get stuff that's donated, and I don't know if it's come from, you know, a discount fabric store, or you know, upper end. You know, sometimes you can tell by the feel, but you know, it could be anything, right? It could have been washed and shrunken, and you know, all of that. So here we go. All right, it's the last of the reels unit. Now, okay, rails are one of these blocks that everybody loves, and they're really simple, and you can make them in any kind of configuration you want. Now, normally we would press to the dark, so we would press this way in, and then you'd flip it in the other direction, and you would go this way, right? Okay. So now you have this 5.5 inch by 5.5 inch block, or do you, right? Because we've pressed in. That's all we've done. Now we're looking for 5.5, and we are short. we are short. Let's measure this a little differently. Let's go to the 5.5 inch line. Yeah, we're short. And we are short all the way down, right? So these things a bit, like you're going to either mess up in the cutting, the sewing, or the pressing, right? That's it. And when you're doing small piecing, all of those three things must be working for you. Otherwise, your blocks aren't going to turn out the right size. So this is not quite 5.5 inches all the way down. And I'm sitting there going, well, how is that possible? Because I am just a hair short. Like if I stretched it, or if I used probably a hot iron, maybe I could get a thread or two more, but I'm still short. I'm still a little short. Now, this one, same fabric, exactly the same fabrics. We're going to take and we're going to press open. Now, open is very, very old style, traditional, right? This is the way everybody used to make their quilt blocks at one time. And it's time consuming, and there has been some debate within the, over the years whether or not this is a strong block or not. Now, so we're going to take the one now that I've pressed open, right? Pressed open. And we're going to set this under. And we're going to measure it. And we're just about there. Probably enough. If I took a hot iron to this, I would probably have it. But it's more 5.5 this way than this one. This one is small for some reason. And I'm just going to change the way we have pressed this because of the turn of the cloth. And the one fabric, the gray, is a much higher quality quilting cotton, right? It's, the thread count's a little different. And when you're working with scraps like that, all of that is kind of important. Now, I'm going to get these the same size. Now, this less than 1/16 of an inch. This one is less than 1/16 of an inch, right? So if I put a hot iron on it, chances are it would be perfect, right? Let's just press this one open and see if we gained anything. Because this one was 1/8 of an inch out. So let's see where we're at. Let's get our 5.5 line up. And all of a sudden, it's the same size as this one. It's like a thread width short. That's it, right? Just because from pressing to the side or pressing to the dark versus pressing open. Now, let's talk about the controversy of pressing open and pressing to the side. What happens in a quilt is that when it pops, the seams start to pop after many years of washing and wearing, especially in baby quilts. What happens is that starts to pop. And when it's pressed open, there's no time. You see a little hole and you see batting right away. But if you press to the side, you've got 1/4 inch of spread on your seam before you see batting. So essentially, it makes it a stronger seam, especially when you're quilting over it, like making your free motion quilting over it, let's say once or twice, now that seems unlikely to pop, right? And but it's also unlikely to pop when you press open, right? If you're doing your free motion quilting dense enough, right? So, okay, so we learned something. Pressing open will give you a little bit more width, right? Because of the turn of the cloth is a little different. And like I say, this is a higher thread count than these two. So this will, because of the turn of the cloth, this is what ends up differently. Now, let's do the X block. Now the X block, you just line up these blocks. Now, this is a 5.5 inch block, right? Let's make sure it's 5.5 inch. Yes, it is, and it's perfect on the 5.5 inch. Now, you guys have all seen this trick, I'm sure, several times. But let's show you what we're doing here. Now, if my 1/4 inch seam is off, right? This 1/4 inch foot, the sewing is off, because my cutting this down the center is perfect, and my cutting of my 1 inch strips is perfect. I shouldn't have an issue, right? I shouldn't have an issue. So let's just get some of these sewn. I'm going to sew this way first. And what I'm going to do is I did these, what, 8.5, 9 inches, 9.5, which is a little long, but it's okay. 9.5, and this is a 5.5 inch square that I just cut in half. So I'm going to make little divots on both sides. And I'm going to make a little divot here in the middle. And I'm going to line up the divots. And that's where we're going to sew. And that's the only place I'm going to pin, actually. Right there. Because I want the divots to match up. Okay. We'll get another little one here. There we go. And the kittens are destroying something. I can hear the rattle bang crash in the background. Isn't that fun? I got kittens, he said. That'll be fun, he said. Yes, we've had kittens, and well, they're teenagers now, I guess. They're in their adolescence. But wow, has it been interesting here. Okay, so here we go. Let's start sewing this. And we want to do a 1/4 inch seam. Now your 1/4 inch seam shouldn't be, well, if it's scant, you have to trim your blocks. If it's too skinny, you have to trim your blocks, the excess away. But if it's too, it needs to go on a diet, then, you know, you have, you know, the block now is too small, right? So let's go like this. There we go. Get the other side in. Okay, now, because I marked divots on both sides of the pink, right? Okay, I'm just going to push, this away, just out of the way for now, not pressing anything. I'm going to do the same little divot trick here so that I actually make a square when I'm done. And do that here again. There. So now I'm going to match up my divot areas. And at the end I should have a square. So now we're just going to maneuver the other triangle out of the way. And do the same with this one. These are fun little blocks to make. They are really good scrap busters. That's the other thing. They're just, these X blocks are just the perfect little scrap buster, because you can make them any size you want. You know, like if you have a whole bunch of little stuff, you can just go through and X marks the spot, and off you go. Now, okay. Because it's a 1-inch strip, I'm putting in this, technically there should not be a change in size, right? So it doesn't matter like how if I press this way against, right, this way, if I press to the dark in this case, which is this way, then the seams go out, right? Now I should have that same 5.5 inch, which I do. Yes, I do. Do I not? Do I not? Yes, I do. Okay, yeah, I do. But is this only a 1/2 inch? Because this needs to be only a 1/2 inch wide all the way through. And this is really, really close. This is only a 1/2 inch strip, so that's perfect. Now, if we press this the other way and make sure, You're going to want to press it this way. Right? You're going to see whether your 1/4 inch seam is perfect or not. If you press towards the strip, now you see whether your seam is going to be right or not. Okay. And the reason why we're doing this is if those ends, the sides touch, just touch, that means your 1/4 inch seam is good, right, from what's coming off your machine. So if you can't see pink in here, right, you can see a line, but you can't see pink really, right? So that 1/4 inch seam is pretty much on the money. So now you can sit there and you just trim off your block. You just trim off into a square because you want to go with the right angles. And that's it. Now, if you're seeing lots of daylight through here, okay, you got a problem, right? You do have a problem because that's too much. Your 1/4 inch seam is too scant. And if they overlap, your 1/4 inch now is too heavy, right? So we're just going to press this the same way. Same way. Okay. Wait, one will be perfect and the other one will be eh. I just know it. Okay. Yes, we're trying to do this. Okay, so this, again, there's nothing overlapping. There's just a hair overlapping here. But if I push it down, it's fine. So I'm going to just trim off my ends, right, just to make them square. And now we're going to do this again on the X block. And we're going to do the same strip method, right, where we go through the center of the block at a right angle, oops, and we want that line to be on the corners, right? We want that line to be perfectly down the corner. So there's one, and the other one. Okay, I'm lining that up so it's nice and straight. Line that up. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we're going to have to hit for the middle of this little there. And we're just going to press that like so, make a divot, make another divot here, and you want to make a divot on both sides at once. Yeah. There. So now, again, pin them together. Pin them together so you get a nice product. When I was running through my scraps, picking out my palette, I was like, oh, let's, for this Mini Mondays, I was like, oh, ooh, we haven't done gray and pink in a long time. I love gray and pink. I don't know why I love gray and pink so much, but I do. But I thought, well, I love it all, actually. I don't know why I say I love this and I love that. But I love it all. Okay, there's one. Okay, I'm going to get this right in the middle. There we go. And this right in the middle. And this in the middle. But yeah, I decided I was going to have some fun with my pinks and my grays. That would be fun. I like pink and gray. And I have a whole bunch of pinks that I don't normally sew with. But I think we should be sewing with them more often. There we go. I know some people don't like pink, but you can pick any fabrics that you want out of your stash for this. it would be fine. It would be lovely. There we go. There. I'm just going to push this out of the way, pin these two together. Mark the divots. Oh, where's them? These divots aren't really visible, but they're there. They are there. Okay, and then we'll get those blocks sewn together. Fiddly. This is what I call fiddly. But is it worth it? Of course it is. Of course it is. It's so pretty, you know. It's such a pretty little block. You could do one block. With these are kind of versatile blocks too. With one block like this, you could do X's and O's, right? You just take a piece of fabric that kind of works with what you're doing and just go X's and O's, right? That would be just gorgeous. You know, make an X and O block or a quilt top. That would be fun. And this is the method which you'd make your X blocks for. Your O blocks, basically, you're sewing around logs on the outside of a square, just to, you know, just to have some fun. That would be cute too. And there's all sorts of cute little things you can do. Oops, there we go. I want to make sure. Yeah, it's great. Right spot. There we go. Okay. Now, oops. Okay, these I would like to press in just to make sure I've got my right seam width. This adds a different little thing going on here, kind of a modern looking fabric with this, right? So that's okay. Oh, there we go. And that's what it looks like. And I did get this out of whack. Oh well, we'll just clip it. And it's perfect for, and I'm going to measure it. That's the other thing you need to do lots of when you're doing minis and you're doing small piecing. You need to be measuring, right? So let me just measure this real quick, make sure it's 5.5. Yep, yes. Yes, 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 it is. All right, good enough. Okay, let me get this off. Okay. Bet you never thought minis would be so hard. My goodness. No, minis are fun. Minis are absolutely a blast. I love mini blocks. They're a really good leader-ender project too, right? Because you can do quite a few minis together. But, yeah. Okay, and I want to make sure I've got good coverage. Here we go. Okay. Take a look at the back. My 1/4 inch is right on the money. And give this a trim. Give this a trim. Measure it to make sure that it's still 5.5 inches, because that's what we're going for. Yes, it is. Ooh, it's a little shy. Just a hair shy. Not too bad, though. It's easily eased in. So, let's do the block. The block. Now, you can do, you know, one this way or whatever, however you want to do this. I mean, it's up to you. It's just an uneven, or it's a 4-patch construction now. And if you're going to do a block, a bunch of these, you know, they can be any color you want, or color combination you want. I mean, it's just, they're fun. They're fun to do. Alright. And you want all of the stuff to lay open underneath. There we go. And just like that, there's one. Okay. There's 2. And we're going to make sure that gets all put the right way. There we go. There. And now we open this up and we flip it over just like so. Yeah. I like doing rails quilts too. Rails quilts are beginner friendly. They're scrappy as crazy as you want them to be. That's another really fun little block you can do. And now that I've got it pinched open, okay, this I'm going to nest in place so that it stays perfectly flat. If I can get a perfectly flat middle, so that would be good. There we go. Once you're past the middle line or the sew line on the middle, you can just drop your needle down and then reposition your fabric. That makes your sewing a little bit faster. Okay, and there we go. Now, I'm going to spin this way. I can spin this because most of my seams are going this direction, right? So I'm going to have some nice flat seams, right? This thing should measure 10.5 by 10.5. Give it a quick measure. Okay. Ooh, we're right on the money. Right on the money with that. Really? Right on the money, I guess. Yeah, 10.5 by 10.5. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's get to our ta-da moment. So here's our rails X block. Now, you could take and make a quilt out of just one of these, like, you know, just the rails unit or just the X block, and you would have a really pretty quilt. I mean, we have lots of fun with these, and the X block, I mean, you can make any size, right? I mean, basically you can make this quilt, take this and make this any size you want. When you're doing, let's say you want to make this, instead of a 5.5 inch, you want to make it 4.5 inch, you go 4.5 inch by 1.5 inch strips. That's all you need, right? So you can get a lot of fun little piecing going on with this. Just make sure your 1/4 inch is in good shape. And if you have to press open to make it better, that's fine too, right? There's no shame in having to press something open, right? So I do hope you give this mini a try. It was lots of fun coming up with this. It's a 10.5 inch block. So, I mean, I hope you have a good time with it. So you guys, take care and stay well, and I hope everything in your life's going great. Okay? All right, bye! My husband and I would like to thank you for all of your support and watching our videos and sharing and liking. It has just been, you've put us on such an amazing journey, and we are having so much fun. I hope everything is going so well in your life, and you know, your 1/4 inch is perfect, everything is working out for you. And we're just so happy to be part of your life, and you having, like I say, you're watching us. I was just so thrilled that you're doing that. So I want to say goodbye, and I want to thank you with all my heart. Okay? Take care. Bye.